to meet her a bit more often, to be more friendly. And so we started going out, and we went to this drama club, and so we started going out, and we went out for about 2 weeks. And it was absolutely amazing. Like, I thought the world of it. I looked at it and I was like, I'm going to marry this person. She's so wonderful. She's beautiful.
What year were you?
You did it, did you?
We were both in year 7. And anyway, so two weeks later, she said that I was boring, and so she dumped me. And so I was like distraught. My work.
Year 7.
Exactly.
Wrong on so many levels. Yeah, I was distraught. My life felt shattered, and I just didn't know what. I was inconsolable. So anyway, about a week later, I decided that I liked this other girl instead, and so I managed to get over the whole thing. So
here as well.
pretty much. So I started going out with this second girl, and I decided, well, obviously with the first girl, just saying that you're going out with somebody wasn't enough to stop them from dumping you and saying you're boring. So I decided what I needed to do was to hold this girl's hand. Okay, so the second girlfriend, I took it to the next level, physical contact. I held her hand, and if anything, that means if she tries to get away. So I thought, I'll hold her hand, and this will show her just how much I love her and how much I value her more than this first girl. Okay. And that was all fine again, look into her eyes, and I'm like, yes, this is the woman that I'm going to marry, this is the woman who I'm going to have loads of little babies with, and grandchildren, and all this kind of stuff. I was thinking ahead, I was planning for the future. Anyway, so a few weeks later, she decided that I was boring again, so she broke up with me as well. Okay, so I was getting a bit of a complex about being a bad boyfriend and dead boring. Yeah, exactly. So thank you. So have you got that on film, Kate? Yeah, saying that I'm funny. Yeah. So again, I was distraught. I was so upset, and my life had ended. So anyway, a few days later, I found another girl who was willing to give me a bash, and I know, serial monogamist. So I started going out with this third girl, and I was like, well, obviously, saying that you're going out with them isn't enough. Holding the hands isn't enough. Maybe what I need to do is try and kiss her. Right? And it took me about an hour and a half. Like, we just sat on a park, and it took me an hour and a half to pluck up the courage to ask if I could kiss her. To which she replied, well, yeah. And then even then, it wasn't like, in films, like romantic films, where you have the violins playing and music and fireworks going off the background. But it was just like a peck on the lips, and I think that was probably what killed the relationship, because she was like, oh, I was expecting something a bit more after an hour and a half. Well, exactly, like a proper kiss. But instead it was just like a kiss on the lips. So anyway, so that relationship finished soon afterwards. And so all the way through school, I was going out with these different girls, and I was every single time I felt really bad and rejected. Okay, because each time they would break up with me. I've never dumped anybody. They would break up with me, and they would tell me that I was
boring. See, nowadays in this century, it's the girls.
I know the girls do the chasing. Are you going back out again?
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so all these relationships I was going into these relationships to try and find something, to try and have like a decent relationship. And every single time I would get knocked back, I would get, like so many girls that I asked out and they said no. Or I'd be told that I was boring, or that I wasn't worth anything, or whatever. And every single time, obviously, like getting like a new girlfriend, I wanted to show them that they were the one, that they were the person that was more important than all the other girls that I've been out with.
But they were all mates, weren't they?
No.
Did you hold any of them beforehand?
Did a what?
Hold any of them?
Hug?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a point. Maybe that's where I was going wrong. So yeah, going out with these girls, each time I would take it to another level to prove to them that they meant more than the other girls. But what happened was, it meant that I didn't actually value who I was. Okay, I was going out with these girls to impress them. I would do whatever for them, and then they were basically using me and then dumping me. Yeah.
Using you for what?
Anyway, so I'm going out with all these girls, and it got to the point where I was not valuing myself at all, and I was willing to give everything of who I was to somebody else, but not expecting anything back in return. Okay? Now, when I was, I think it was about 15, 16, I went to like a rock concert. It was a Christian rock concert. They do exist, and it was actually quite good.
What is it with all these Christian rock concerts that you are going to?
I've not. Anyway, it was over in Newcastle. It was over in Newcastle, right? And it was called NE1 because that was where it was. That was the postcode, and it was really trendy to be called that. Okay. And there were all these bands, and there was this. They were singing like Christian songs and whatnot. And it wasn't like hymns like "Kumbaya" or whatever. It was like, you know, it was quite funky music. It was of the time. Okay, so.
So why did you call it?
You are.
So why did you call it Christian? It was normal music.
But it was like normal music, but with like Christian lyrics. So they weren't like doing covers or anything. They were singing their own songs, but it was like worshipping God and singing about Jesus and stuff. Yeah. So I went along to that, and right near the end, there was this guy, and it was just this one guy. He was part of a band. He stepped forwards, and they'd finished all the set and everything, and he just started strumming on his guitar, just playing like some dead slow music. And he's like, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a prayer, and if you guys want to join in, then you can do. And I thought, well, I used to go to Sunday school when I was younger. I know what prayer is.
So did
I.
Know, really.
Anyway, so I was like, right, well, I'll pray this prayer at the same time, because yeah, you know, my life's kind of going a bit round in circles, keep going out with people, and nothing happens. And he prayed this prayer, and while he was praying, I closed my eyes and I put my head down. And when I did that, it felt like someone was giving me this massive hug. Okay, now, going back in time a little bit, when I was 11, just before I finished in primary school, my dad admitted that he'd been having an affair and so moved out. Okay, and the last time that I'd had this kind of hug was before he'd admitted that he'd been having this affair and moved out. So I'd not felt this all the way from being 11 to about sort of 15, 16. I'd not had any of this, like, this male role model, this big, you know, daddy hug kind of thing. Okay, so when I was at this rock concert, I started crying because it felt like I was having this massive hug. And I was a little bit worried because the guy next to me was like a beast, and I was like, better not be in. And it wasn't. I looked at him, and it was like, oh, it's not you, and there's no one there, there's no one behind me, what's going on? And what I figured out at that point was that this hug that I was having, it wasn't like a person that was hugging me, but it was something to do with this prayer that this guy was saying on stage. And he was talking about like a God that loves us and all this kind of stuff. And so I realised at that point, like, I've been going to Sunday school, I've been a good person, I've not pushed any old ladies in front of buses or anything like that. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm a good person. Exactly. Well, yeah, I didn't go that far. I wasn't a goody two-shoes. So I classed myself as a good person, but I'd not been like treating myself right, I'd not been treating other people right, because I've been going into these relationships looking for something that I wasn't going to get from the relationship, and I was willing to give everything of me, but for nothing in return. Okay, because all these people, like I said, were like kind of using me and stuff. So I worked out at that point. Hey, miss.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt.
Right.
I really feel very rude. Could you pop to my room on your way?
Yeah, sure.
What time are you leaving? Not that
it'll be like 5 to.
5 to. Yeah, would you mind popping down on the way? Is that all right? Oh, thanks.
See you, bud.
What good clip to have.
Where was I up to anyway?
She's saying about your story, she'll think you're boring.
What was it up to? What was she talking about? I don't know. Rock concert,
You're about
praying,
someone
hugs.
hugging you.
Yeah, so that was a hug thing. And yeah, it was something to do with this guy on stage talking about like this God that loves us. And so I worked out that point that what I needed to do was, instead of only valuing myself as being something for other people to go out with and then use and abuse or whatever, I decided, well, at that point I'm going to respect myself, I'm going to respect other people, I'm not going to see girls as like a physical thing that you've got to have in order to have a good, happy life and all this kind of stuff. And so I decided at that point that what I needed to do was to get in touch with this God character, to understand a little bit more about this love kind of thing, and if anything, to try and reconcile this relationship that I had with my dad, or that I'd lost with my dad. Okay, so from that point on, it meant that I've forgiven my dad, I've got on with him, and if anything, I actually prefer him to my mum now, anyway. Because he's cool. So yeah, I get on really well with my dad. And also it's meant that in my life since then I've been able to understand relationships a heck of a lot better, and so I don't feel that I need to be owned by somebody else, because as a Christian I believe that I'm owned by God, and so that's all the ownership that I need. So I don't need to be owned by other people anymore, and so I can value myself and value them. So I just wanted to share that with you, to say that, like, in any kind of relationship, it's a two-way street. It's give and take. So don't feel that you need to give yourself completely to somebody if they're not willing to value the relationship in the same way that you guys do. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, and thank you very much. So.